Oh my, that's an interesting choice it is. I can tell you I wouldn't go that way if I was you, but I can tell you the way, and a tale or two if you can help me out, good sirs. Clink clink as the saying goes. Well, that spot has earned its name, it has. Mischievous Grove. Because that's where lots of mischievousness happens. No one dies there, but no one much enjoys the trip. Last time I passed through, I heard lots of giggles and hurtful words towards about how ugly me hat is. I like my hat. Time before that, it took me 4 hours to cross the grove. It's only a mile long. I kept losing my way, you see. The path kept clearing, kept changing. Time before that, I fell asleep right here in the box. Woke up with my boots tied together and nearly broke my neck when I came around. The ghosts what haunts that place don't seem to be killers as such, but they sure don't like it when us regular folk comes through. Just you keep your head up and stay on the path, and you'll be just right. Says, do not follow the dancing lights. They will lead you astray. Roll an Arcana check.
Hey there, creatures, and welcome to Encounter This, a podcast exploration of the creatures from Dungeons & Dragons and the lore that surrounds them.
Welcome, listeners of Encounter This, to our very first episode in probably the earliest pun we had come up with. I think actually James had come up with.
I forgot about that. I forgot how early we came up with this.
It's so long ago. The first episode of Feypril, which we almost did last year, but it got delayed thanks to Haguary.
Haguary was so good, though.
What a big project that was. Our first suite. Feypril is going to be a little more chill, a little more relaxed, but no less thematic, I would say. And the very first episode is, of course, Pixies, which James Rivergleam Kidd has so lovingly prepared. And I, of course, will co-host and help him out as Freeman the Wad Eiston. The hell is that?
That's just me getting you to insult yourself for making me do Pixies, is really what that is.
Yeah. Let's get this right out of the way. James is, was not too pumped in preparing this one.
No, this is by far my least favorite creature that we've covered. But I get it. Like, the lore's there. It's fine. It's the right creature for some people, but I don't know why it's in the monster manual.
Doesn't jive
really
with
don't.
You. Yeah. So
well,
yeah.
Like, we'll see when we get there, but it doesn't belong in the monster manual.
Okay. All right. So there you go, guys. This is going to be your most okayest episode yet. But to follow along, you can hit up the monster manual at page 253 for Pixies.
Yeah, which is way too early. They should be in the back with all like the half stat block creatures.
Right. Yeah, like the appendix stuff. Yeah,
that's where they belong. They don't belong here. And we'll talk about that. I'm sure you'll have some things to say because I definitely have some opinions when we get there. But the lore is good. The lore's. I mean, the lore's fine. But
all right, just hit me up. What do you got?
Okay, so I want to start with a quote. Because this just encapsulates what we're getting ourselves into. And I think right off the bat, it should tell you how these are so not my thing.
Okay.
All right. Pixies etch patterns of frost on winter ponds and rouse the buds in springtime. They cause the flowers to sparkle with summer dew and color the leaves with the blazing hues of autumn.
I mean, it just sounds to me like you painting a mini. That sounds up your alley. Am I wrong? I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong.
Well, let's just move on. So Pixies,
it is pretty flowery. Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And that's it. That's the best way to describe it. Is they're very very flowery. They're very I don't want to say Tolkienian because that's a little too many shots fired at Tolkien in one sentence.
I'm already getting like a insufferable hippie vibe, you know.
Oh, that's exactly it, man. Like but it's like the worst aspects of every subculture are kind of wrapped up in Pixies, and it's bad. Like they're little goth Pixies, you know. It's fine. So they're Pixies. You know, they're small. They're in D&D. They're less than 1 foot tall, and they're said to look like small elves. So I would imagine slightly elongated faces. Pointy ears are pretty prevalent in all of the pictures, and that's because they have the same origin point, which is Feywild in 5e and Fey and the other previous editions. I believe it was just called. They have an average lifespan of about 300 years. And they have fine, filmy wings reminiscent of butterflies or dragonflies. The word was gossamer that they used, but I had to actually look that up because I had no idea what that meant. It turned out.
Yeah, gossamer, like type wings, yeah.
And the quote about their wings from the Monster Manual is, "They are as clear as dawn and as luminous as the full moon rise." It's a completely superfluous sentence.
Again, with the flowery descriptions.
Exactly, that's exactly it. But it doesn't like add anything to it. I mean, at least for me. You know, reach out to us, listeners, if it adds something. You know, if knowing that a pixie's wings are somehow clear and luminous at the same time inspires you in a way that I don't get because Anyway, so when they fly, they leave behind a trail of dust like some moths. This dust is known as pixie dust. When they fly, they're known to shimmer like the tail of a comet. So they create that, I don't remember what it's called, but like that tail.
Right, yeah.
So a sprinkle of this shit is said to grant flight. That's the thing about pixie dust, is it gives you flight. However, it is not a component of the spell flight in 5th edition.
Okay.
It's also known to confuse creatures or make them sleep. Guess what it's also not a spell component of?
Confusion or sleep?
Exactly.
Do any of those have material components that you know of?
Yep,
So,
all of them. Yeah, flight is a feather. Sleep is a grain of sand, I believe, and I don't remember what confusion is.
I mean, off the top of my head, sleep is a relatively lower spell, and fly is not too high. They probably meant me trying to make the material component more readily available than pixie dust specifically. Be my guess.
Well, a component pouch covers everything under.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I think 3rd level, so it doesn't. You know, it's kind of moot, but still, like thematically, it would have been nice.
Yeah.
Considering they've been around for 5 editions, it's not like this is a new creature they just threw in here with this new power. Like
totally.
All throughout culture, pixie dust is the thing. However, in 2nd edition, there was a spell called Pixie Dust, which, when tossed into the air, made all creatures in a 10-foot radius invisible, which I really, really love. There's a spell in 3rd edition, 3.5, and Pathfinder called Glitter Dust that does the exact opposite of this. So I love that this existed. Yeah,
that's the equivalent of Glitter Dust is the equivalent of 5e's Fairy Fire, essentially.
Yeah.
It covers you in like a glowing light and prevents invisibility and grants advantage and that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
A very underrated spell. Very, very good.
Yeah, I love Glitter Dust. But for the pixie dust specifically, not the spell, the actual item, it said that only pixies can use it to its full potential, so I get why it's not like a commonplace item.
Sure. You're almost treading on unicorn horn territory, alicorn territory.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know.
However, but in a couple of minutes, we'll talk about why that's a little contradictory, because there is a pixie dust item in 5th edition that I discovered very, very late into my research. So it's a little in a different place in the article. But you know what? Let's just go over it now.
Okay.
It's from I can never remember the name of this book, but I believe it's Storm King's Thunder.
That sounds right. It's one of the adventures, right?
Modules? One of the adventure paths. Yeah, so it's just called Pixie Dust. So the one thing that I like about this particular item is that 1 pinch of Pixie Dust can substitute for the material component of any enchantment spell 3rd level or lower. Love that. I absolutely love that. That's so good.
Yeah, a nice attention to detail, big time.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other component of this is that if sprinkled on a creature, you roll a D100 for a magical effect.
Oh, okay.
So 1 to 70, the creature gains flight speed of 60 feet for 10 minutes. Love it.
Amazing.
71 to 80, it's a DC Constitution save, or they fall unconscious for a minute.
Okay. Oh, man. All right.
Yeah. 81 to 90, it's a DC 11 Wisdom save, or they're affected by the Confusion spell. Love it. Just leaning into this theme so hard.
Yep.
91 to 100, the creature sprinkled with the dust is invisible for an hour. Not under the effects of the spell invisible, just straight up fucking invisible.
Yeah.
It does still end if they deal any damage or cast the spell, but still
Right. Okay.
pretty dope for an item. Like it's so hardcore thematic that I just had to include it. I'm super glad that I found this.
Right.
I found this like really late in my research.
First thought, it's almost a shame that it has to be presented in a module. Like, why isn't that on the page for the Pixie itself? I mean, it's great. And the other thing, I mean, I love that you pointed out that that's not the spell invisibility in that, because, I mean, if you want to get really nitty gritty and like pedantic about it, you know, if it doesn't specify it's that spell, then, you know, things that might just dispel that invisibility just might not work. You know, there's argument for that.
That's what I mean. Like, dispel magic theoretically wouldn't work on well, I guess it would, because these are considered magical effects, but that's really up to DM's discretion. And
Right. Totally.
as we'll touch on, like, that's Pixie's shit, is being invisible. Like, that's their whole shtick. That's literally all they do, is be invisible. So I don't think I would let dispel magic affect this. Mm-hmm. There is a higher level spell, and I can't remember the name of it right now, that's dispels magic over an area. I think it's a 7th level spell or something like that. That I would let affect this. But, you know, dispel magic, I probably wouldn't. Or see invisibility, I probably wouldn't give that an effect either. So
No, eh? I feel like I definitely have to read those spell descriptions before I make my decision. But I'm definitely on the fence without having read them. You know, I think there are grounds to argue against it. I mean, you are right, though. It does say magical effects specifically on that table. Yeah. So, you know, you really have to consider that. But that's food for thought, anyway.
yeah, but again, when we get into Pixies, like, you'll see that invisibility is like their only thing. Also, there's only a 10% chance that this is going to happen. So why would I try and take away that 10% chance?
Yeah,
like,
let them have it.
That's exactly it. Like, like let's just
fun.
give it to them.
Rule of cool.
And the exact opposite of that is that Fae tend to dress like royalty. Gowns, crowns, and silks.
Okay.
However, there are sects of Pixies that wear only natural clothes. Petals, leaves, acorns, barks, etc. They take great pride in their clothing, which is not something that I've found to be consistent throughout the Fae, so this is just straight up a Pixie thing. Mm-hmm. And they love to be complimented on their ensemble.
Okay.
So we're gonna reach into the monster manual for another quote. This one is from a Pixie fashionista known as Rivergleam, and that is specifically how they're credited in the 5th edition monster manual, is a Pixie fashionista. Petal gowns and acorn caps are so last summer. Like, not only did somebody write that, somebody edited it, and nobody was like, dude, this is what we want to go with. We need to put this in the book.
Could we make it maybe more interesting?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'm throwing down what you're picking up now on these things were just, you know, put in there because they had to be. You know, someone decided, well, Pixie's got to be there. You know, they're a classic, so put them in. And
that's exactly what I think they're a victim of.
Just didn't take them seriously in any way when they could have. I mean, so far that I'm getting that vibe like you described. So
yeah, there are some places that take Pixies very seriously, and we'll get into those when we get into pop culture. But these, I don't know. I think so far, like, I get it. They really heavily leaned into it, but it's kind of a whiff for me. And that's, you know, it's just not my thing. Like, I like fucking hellhounds and skeleton hordes and that shit. Like,
you're the undead man, yeah.
That's my jam. So, like, this is the exact opposite of that. But they're very social creatures, which, you know, again is a point against them in my book. They're excitable, curious, and shy because they are specifically hunted for their pixie dust. And at least now we have an idea why. Because I read that and I went looking very, very hard as to why mechanically they would be hunted for their dust. But this appears to be the reason why, is the pixie dust item that was in the Storm King's Thunder.
Okay, yeah.
They do like to travel and spy on other creatures because they really want to make friends, but they're super scared of being captured. Again, because of the pixie dust thing. I guess you can't just milk a pixie. I guess you've got to kill it and flap its wings till all the dust falls off.
Right.
Or you keep it in a jar like Link. So for those who enter like a pixie's domain, you're probably never going to see one because their shit is invisibility, but you'll hear them giggling or laughing at you or trying to lead you astray. They have a really intense power of invisibility, and they'll rarely appear to strangers.
Right.
Though sometimes they'll play practical jokes on you, like the kind of shit you'd see in a bad 70s sitcom, tying shoelaces together, creating mirages, leading people astray. Like, they're one step removed from shaving cream in a feather.
Yeah.
Though sometimes they will offer to guide you if you seem like you won't take the hostility for their dumb jokes, because these are dumb jokes.
Yeah, just little pranksters, I guess, eh?
That's it.
Playing dress up, causing the flowers to sparkle with summer dew.
Yeah. And here's the thing for me that really, really just nailed the coffin home, is that they just absolutely abhor violence and will always run rather than fight.
Okay.
Because their sprite cousins are the ones who take to arms. However, in previous editions, Pixies specifically have taken up arms. Like, if you look at that 1E art, he's literally wielding a sword.
Yeah. At someone's ankle.
The 2E art is probably the creepiest art we've ever looked at. It looks like the Green Goblin from the 80s Spider-Man comics peeking out behind two mushrooms.
Yeah, seriously. It really does.
I legitimately do not understand what's happening in the 3E art, or which one is the pixie, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that one is a bit crazy. The pixie, I think, is clearly the one on the right.
The one
that's
with the bow and the
holding
quiver?
the bag. Yeah, the bow and the quiver.
Right. And that's probably a dryad behind, or
Yeah, the large one is either a dryad or it's possibly maybe a sylph. But my guess will be an elemental fae of some kind, if that's a bit of a thing. I forget what the water equivalent would be, because they're clearly like in a marsh with the cattails and such.
Right. Or maybe they're both pixies. In the next one, there's a dude flying around with cricket legs playing a fiddle.
Yep, some sort of bow and string instrument. He's straight up half grasshopper with dragonfly wings.
Yeah.
But the other two are very much more humanoid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the 5e art is actually relatively iconic, I think. I think the 5e art's a pretty solid representation.
Yeah, honestly, the 5e art just reminds me more of what we would have grown up with in imagery of like a fairy or a pixie, something that Disney or Hollywood would have conjured up in like a film that's like meant for children but good for adults at the same time. Very Tinkerbell-esque kind of look.
Very much so. We do have a couple of honorable mentions from the D&D lore. The first is Inkwing from the Curse of Strahd. They are a denizen of Thornbud and the village's spokesperson. So I'm assuming Thornbud is a pixie village in Barovia. Their article was wicked sparse.
Sure. I'm sure you'd have to read the adventure a little bit more, but we're going to avoid those spoilers, I'm sure.
Exactly. The next one is King Terramon, who is the king of the Panjusi Pixies from a book called The Horde.
Okay. What's the Horde?
I do not know.
Oh, okay.
I kind of just got really into this lore. So Panjus is a fortress made of living giant trees, like 3 of them that have kind of gnarled together.
Oh, cool.
And it's said to have been a myth, but probably located in the Karatur continent, which is east of Faerun, which we don't have anything from 5e yet. But it's said that when Terramon died, the fortress died with him because his life force was tied to these 3 living trees, and they eventually just withered and died.
Right, cool. I mean, that's pretty gnarly, yeah.
Yeah, finally getting a little dark.
Terramon, king of the pixies, and the trees go with him. Selfish bastard. What are the rest of the Pixies going to do?
Right? Okay, we're going to do pop culture before we do cultural lore because I need a little bit of a break.
Okay.
I really like Pixies, like all of these pop culture references. I'm really digging them. The first one is the most obvious one to me, which is completely wrong, I'm sure. It's Butterfree and Venomoth, the Pokemon. Known for their sleep powder, stun spore, and poison powder.
I mean, they are straight up insects. As opposed to actual, but I mean, I love the reference.
And it's the attack set that really did it for me. So, like, because they're well known for their sleep powder and their poison powder, like that's essentially pixie dust. So the next one is not related to actual pixies at all, but her name is Pamela Coleman Smith, but she went by Pixie Smith. She's the illustrator of the Rider-Waite Smith tarot deck. So think of a tarot deck, and she's the woman who drew those images.
Oh, okay, like the classic one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just thought that was awesome as hell. She did a whole bunch. She illustrated a whole bunch more books, but I really wanted to give her a shout out because I love that artwork and that classic style of artwork. And without that, we wouldn't have things like the Deck of Many Things.
Right. Yeah.
Which the illustrations of the Deck of Many Things are based off the Waite Smith tarot deck illustrations. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's get one thing clear though. Either of those decks really only belong in fantasy and fiction. No matter where we have to thank her and that for what we have now, neither belong in real life. I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah, I agree with you. She was a spiritualist. I wasn't going to touch on that because I wanted to lift her up for her illustration career and not knock her down for being a spiritualist, because then we got to shit on, Apparently Pixies appeared in Harry Potter. They were electric blue and could fly, which,
yeah,
already better than Pixies in 5e.
Yeah, most European folklore culture things appear in Harry Potter at some point or another, usually in some what's the word we're looking for? Usually in a form that's not true to the original.
Yeah, I didn't look too far into it, but I just like the fact that they were electric blue. It kind of looked like an elongated Stitch, like if you improperly rendered an image from that Disney movie. That's kind of what they look like.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
There's a pixie haircut. I'm not qualified to speak on that.
Wow, you really got bored with this one, didn't you?
I did, yeah. There's the Pixies, the famous alternative rock band.
Of course. Can't be discounted.
There's a specific family of butterflies that are known as pixies, which they look pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
The Melanus family. I just thought this was dope. There's a specific type of upper atmospheric lightning that is not related to traditional lightning, and if it is less than 100 meters across, it is known as pixie lightning.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Here's your nature fact of the day. 2 nature facts back to back.
There is Tinkerbell from Peter Pan. She's a pixie. She's
Classic.
got that comet tail.
Yep.
There are pixie sticks, which is colored sugar sealed in a straw, which is supposed to represent pixie dust.
I remember being like in middle school, people used to snort it.
Well, that brings us to our next one, which is pixie dust, a.k.a. fairy dust, a.k.a. angel dust, a.k.a. PCP.
PCP. Oh my god.
So apparently pixie dust is actually a street name of PCP, which I thought was great. Love it. I love every bit of that.
No surprise there.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
With I know we usually wait, but with that list, is it too early to crack a beer?
Oh, go right ahead, man. I've been drinking this whole time.
Me too. I just ran out, and I'm like, now, like, I was sitting there waiting, and I was like, oh, we got a little more to go through. I don't think I can wait any longer. This is ridiculous.
So I gotta have my fun somehow, and this is how I had it. So
that was really good.
Quite a lot of stretches in there, but I think all of them are pretty good.
Yeah. Hey, they all had Pixie in the title. That's good enough for me.
That's kind of what I went with.
The only thing I have to add to that list, and it's not quite a pixie, but it is I guess a fairy, which is a sort of loose theme that we'll be covering this month.
Yep.
Without actually, because there's no fairies like stat block wise and lore wise in in D&D and 5e as far as we know, right? Like that's just more or less just what Fae are, right?
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, fairy is the collective noun for a group of Fae.
Right. And one of my favorite fairy moments in pop culture is from the film The Labyrinth. Have you ever watched that with David Bowie? And
it has been many decades since I watched.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I remember really enjoying it. I'm a big Jennifer Connelly fan, a big David Bowie fan.
Yeah, and it's a great film, and it really stands up, especially in that sort of nostalgic Jim Henson kind of vibe, right? But like at the very beginning of the film, when they're on the outside of the labyrinth, Jennifer Connelly's character Sarah, she's just like walks up and sees these fairies flying around. And she's like, oh, they're so good. And Hoggle, the little like troll dwarf dude, he's like running around with like that old school pump action like spray gun and just killing them with this like toxin because he hates them. And she like holds onto one. She's like, why are you doing that? And then it just like bites her, and they're like vicious little bastards. Like they're just these pretty little things flying around. And he's like, no, kill these little things. They're just mean and nasty. I just love it. It's one of my favorite scenes.
I wonder if that's where Mike Mignola got it from, because the tooth fairies in Hellboy are really, really mean and chewy, and they're called tooth fairies because they'll eat every bit of you.
Right. Yeah. I forgot about that. That's a really good reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were cool. I wish Hellboy did more because the second film was so good. I just sent you a picture of the fairy from the labyrinth. It's like straight up live action. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I assume this brings us to the real world.
Yeah. We are going to talk about Pixies. Pixies, a.k.a. Pixie, a.k.a. Pizkey, a.k.a. Pisky, a.k.a. Pigsy. These are all known spellings of Pixie, and they're fantastic. They will all be posted on our social media. Don't you worry.
Can't wait.
All super literal. So as I normally try to do, I really tried to track down the etymology of this word, and there isn't a good source of it because pixies predate Christian mythology in England, and the mythology of pixies specifically comes from Devon and Cornwall, is mainly those two areas. So there's a theory that it's derived from a Swedish word which has the same root as psyche, and it's kind of spelt psyche. I don't want to try and pronounce it.
Sure, yeah. Pronounce it.
Pronounce it in Swedish, which loosely translates to little people. Problem with that history is that there's no evidence of Nordic trade or what do you call it when you contact a civilization?
Contact.
Yeah, there's no evidence of Nordic contact. Anywhere
reaching out.
Yeah, and anywhere
missionary
near,
work.
anywhere near this time frame. So
right.
It's kind of a dead end there, and there's really no written records because Christianity rolled in really soon after. Mm-hmm. And they tend to, they used to tend to destroy anything else, I guess is the best way to put that. So the word is probably of Celtic origin.
Okay.
They're benign, mischievous, and childlike, which is pretty similar to not only the pop culture references that we've seen, like the Labyrinth, but also the D&D lore. They're very fond of dancing, wrestling, and just all-around celebrations. I'm pretty sure they originated the dance party. Listeners, if you hear a little sound of metal clicking in the background, that's my guinea pigs trying to get water out of their tube. I assure you they have water, but he's just going for it today.
He had a big night, little hungover, dehydrated.
Just making a day out of it over there, apparently. So pixies from this English culture are often depicted with pointy hats and ears and green outfits, though older tales will sometimes describe them as wearing rags, which they will happily discard for fresh clothing.
Okay.
And strangely enough, right up until the 19th century, they were taken pretty seriously in Cornwall and Devon. So that's, 200 years ago. In Cornwall, there's a place called Trevose Head, where 600 pixies were said to have gathered and danced there in a circle until one of them, Omphra, lost his laugh. After searching the barrows of the ancient kings of Cornwall, Omphra waded through the Bodmin Moor until his laugh was restored by motherfucking King Arthur in the form of a chuff. And a chuff is some sort of crow.
So, oh my God, that's amazing. So Omphra, the pixie, danced so hard he couldn't laugh anymore, and then waded, through a moor until he found King Arthur.
As a crow.
As a crow who restored his laugh. Oh my God. That's right up there with the recipes that I find.
Yeah.
That's absurd, but it's so good.
This is it's this whole myth is like a bad montage. Is really how I see it. Just bad 80s music playing as he's traveling through like the coffins of the ancient kings of Cornwall, and then goes for a swim and then meets a crow who gives him his laugh back.
I want like 80s synthwave to like for full contrast.
100%. Yeah.
Just doesn't fit at all, but somehow makes it perfect. That's so good.
Yeah, I mean I don't get it. I honestly didn't realize the King Arthur myth was that old, I guess.
Oh man, yeah. It's pretty old, and it's just like got so many weird, gnarly trails that it goes down.
Yeah. So in Dartmoor, conversely, they dress themselves as a bundle of rags to try and lure children to play with them. I don't know what kind of children play with rags, like discarded piles of rags, but the past was a crazy place, so I guess you had to make your own fun.
I mean, toys took a lot more effort to create, you know?
Right.
So, pile of rags, why not?
Yeah, I guess so. And the Dartmoor Pixies are said to love to ride and dance on Dartmoor colts, which is a specific type of like workhorse pony.
Okay.
They're really neat looking, and apparently Dartmoor's wicked famous for them.
All right.
They're just, I guess, touting their main export in this mythology, which is pretty great. And sometimes they'll help widows with their housework. Here's the fun part, is that if you're lost in Dartmoor, you can be called pixie-led, which is essentially a condition where invisible pixies lead you astray. And it is remedied if you turn your coat inside out.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I love that. I think that's just great. I love the idea of somebody just like, I think I was supposed to take a left back there. Let me just turn my petticoat inside out and go back.
For sure. Yeah.
And then there's some loose ties to the monarchy here. I didn't pull on this string too hard because these two characters are more reminiscent of will-o-wisps than they actually are pixies. However, they're known as the monarchs of the pixies. The first is the queen, Joan the Wad.
Oh, the wad. That's where I come in.
Yeah, so a wad is actually just a torch, and she represents fire and water elements and is known for good luck and helping travelers find their destination, and is sometimes put on door knockers or above doorways as a protective spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Her counterpart is the king of the pixies, Jack the Lantern.
Ooh.
And we'll talk about him more in the Will-O-Wisp episode. And
okay.
It is Jack O'Lantern.
Oh, sick. Okay, nice little connection there. I like that.
As soon as I read that, I'm like, why the fuck am I not doing Will-O-Wisps? Just reading the two paragraphs about the two kings of the queen of the pixies, I'm like, they're Will-O-Wisps, and they're so much better.
Well, I mean, do you know what the creature type for a will-o-wisp is off the top of your head?
I'm almost positive they're undead.
They are. You're correct.
Because I like them. That's a safe bet.
Yeah.
So they're they're pretty similar to their D&D counterparts. They're little just for laughs gags on legs. They're not funny, horrible, and frankly, you should just change the channel whenever they come on.
Hey, once in a while, you're like, you know what? That's pretty clever. Once in a blue moon, you're like, whoever came up with that one deserves a raise.
I'll say that about Pixies before I say that about Just for Laughs gags.
Oh, you haven't watched it. Oh, it's still going. You need to go catch some highlights.
I'm fairly confident that I don't. The point is they play bad jokes. They try and trick you, and if you don't hit them, they'll be your friend. Like if you can just put up with their practical jokes long enough, they'll be your friend.
So what you're saying is that if you played yourself and any character you can ever come up with, it's impossible not to hit them. Is what
You might as well just call me Hoggle.
Oh my god. Oh, I fucking love it. I could just feel the seething hatred coming through the microphone and the internet.
We talked about it up top, but let's touch on it here a little bit, because yes, I don't like these creatures. I understand their place in the D&D mythology, and I kind of vaguely understand their place in the real world mythology. And had I intermingled them a little bit further with fairies, I'm sure I would have understood it better. Mm-hmm. As soon as I read the stat block, I knew I didn't like these creatures, and I took that as a specific challenge to find a bunch of stuff that I liked, which is why I had so much fun with the pop culture references.
Sure,
I needed something for me. We're gonna hit the ad break in a second here. I'm gonna crack a beer, and we're gonna talk pretty quickly about the stat block, the mechanics. But I put so much more effort into the homebrew of this than I have in a long time.
Oh yeah,
I truly felt like these creatures need to be not corrected, but pivoted, because I do not believe in my heart and soul that their place is in the monster manual. And we'll touch on that in homebrew.
Okay.
But I just want to make it clear, I
don't
hate these creatures. I just hate their current location in the D&D.
And the current love or lack thereof that they've been given, and then but then also placed in as a mainstay creature.
That's it, yeah.
As a stock creature, like those two in tandem is a no bueno for you.
Yeah, I very much disagree with their place in the D&D.
It's such a bold statement. Eh? I mean, we've shit on a few creatures. Let's be honest. But to say that one does not deserve its own page, it's like, that's pretty big.
And again, we'll get into why in the homebrew and how I believe it can be fixed. And full disclosure, I do not touch the stat block in homebrew. I leave the stat block as it is.
Cool.
But I tweak it and I fix it. I believe I fix it thematically.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sweet.
That's a lot of preamble ramble for... Oh, God, one of these, and I need it so bad.
Oh, get it in ya. Oh, yeah. Let us do it.
All right. Let's get this over with, because it's nothing. It's legitimately nothing.
Just run me through it. No questions asked. Bang, bang, bang. Bullet point. What do you get?
1/4 CR. 1 HP. 1d4 minus 1.
So potential 0 HP?
Potential 0 HP.
Okay.
AC 15.
Mm-hmm.
Tiny Fey, neutral good. The only language they speak is Sylvan. They have a 10-foot land speed and a 30-foot fly speed. They have a strength of 2 for a modifier of -4. A dex of 20 for a modifier of +5.
Damn. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Con -1 modifier, int 0, wisdom 2, charisma 2. Obviously, I disagree with that charisma modifier, but that's fine.
I mean, you're no fashionista.
You know what? You sold me. You sold me on the 15 charisma right there. Just I sound sarcastic, but that's because I cannot muster up enough energy to put the emphasis in it. But I'm being completely serious. You just sold me on it.
There is a weird part of charisma. I always find charisma a difficult one to wrap my head around in certain aspects of these games. And it's because I always wrestle with this idea that it is a extremely superficial stat in that, like, hey, they're conventionally handsome, therefore they have charisma,
right?
And it's just like, when someone has a scar, they immediately take a hit to their charisma or something like that. Like, it just seems a bit wishy-washy and very shallow.
When I think charisma, I think like we just watched it the other day, so it's fresh in my mind. But I think like what's his name? Carrie Elway from The Princess Bride?
Oh, Carrie Elwes, yeah.
Carrie Elwes, yeah. So I think of him when I think of charisma, like specifically in Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like, that's what I think of when I think of charisma. Like, I get that he's kind of traditionally handsome for like the 70s and 80s, but
sure,
man, is he charismatic.
He's got a presence to him, yeah. So, I mean, there is that.
So they got a couple abilities. The first is magic resistance, which is advantage on saves versus spells and other magical effects.
Huge.
Yeah, a little too big for a CR1 quarter, but whatever.
Yeah.
They have innate spellcasting, DC 12. They can cast Druidcraft at will. Once per day, Confusion, Dancing Lights, Detect Good and Evil, Detect Thoughts, Dispel Magic, Entangle, Fly, Phantasmal Force, Polymorph, and Sleep. So all relatively thematic.
I mean, they're all clearly built on playing pranks.
Yeah. The Dispel Magic one kind of bothers me, as does the Fly one, because Fly is, I believe, a third level spell. But again, once per day, whatever. I'll let it slide.
I mean, they're casting Fly on someone else, right?
Yeah,
not on
second
themselves.
Fly.
And it's definitely built into the whole Pixie Dust thing, right?
Yeah.
That's probably why it's there.
That's exactly why it's there, because Pixies can use the Pixie Dust to its full potential.
Right.
All right, you ready for their attacks?
Am I?
Superior Invisibility. It turns invisible as long as it concentrates on it. End of list.
So
that's my problem with this stat block, is there's no offensive abilities, period.
none.
Listed. None. Not a single one.
That is so weird. Now that's a first on this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it'll
Whoa.
probably be a last, to be honest with you. And that's why I truly do not believe that this creature has earned its place in the monster manual. I get that they're playing it kind of fast and loose with monster.
I mean, and they've been using monster or monstrous manual for years.
And I'm fine with monstrous manual, but specifically a manual of monsters. Something without an offensive or fear-inspiring ability just does not belong in the
Right.
pages of that to me.
You know what it spells to me? It's like, I mean, you have monstrosities as a creature type, which is like what you would think would be a monster. But in a more general sense, monster, arguably, not well argued, but arguably could cover anything that's not like wholly material plane naturally occurring. So anything but beasts, essentially, is what I'm getting at. Beasts and humans, or elves or dwarves.
Humanoid specific.
Humanoids, but even then, like you're kind of stretching, because you have like, I mean, even elves have like fey relations and stuff like that. So
Right, but they're naturally occurring in the material plane.
right, but like not necessarily originating from there, right? Not necessarily. I mean, I don't know for sure.
I mean, you get into some serious minutia there. But
Yeah, big time.
I
I think the point I'm trying to make is that is there a stat block, a main stat block in the monster manual itself that is 100% just a beast? Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. Sturge. That's it. That's what we got.
Dinosaurs are on that list.
Oh yeah, and dinosaurs. Yeah, and like Sturge does have it doesn't have its own full page though. I pulled it up right now. It's right next to Incubus and Succubus.
Right.
And it's like 3 short paragraphs and a tiny stat block, and that's it. I mean, arguably, that thing could be a fucking aberration or a monstrosity, even just by the look of it. It doesn't even make sense that it's a beast.
No, I agree completely. I'm not arguing that it doesn't belong there, but I'm quickly going through the Donjon monster list.
That's why we got on a real tangent here about like the name of the monster manual.
It's fine.
This is some good Patreon exclusive chatter.
Solid B-roll, yeah.
Too good.
So do you see why I don't believe they belong in the monster manual?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Like, if I look at what little there is for what appears to be 5e lore and what you've written here, and then some of it's very obviously taken from, say, the Forgotten Realms wiki, from other editions and books and that sort of thing.
Very little, actually. A lot.
Yeah.
Most of that page is from 5e, because it's a page, but like there's an entire subparagraph just talking about how they don't attack. There's an entire subparagraph about how they just play pranks. Like, I don't need more than a single bullet point to get that point across. They need 2 paragraphs.
Yeah. This is not the first time we have come across a creature that is like clearly meant for 100% roleplay. They've got a stat block as a courtesy at best, in case you have a weird party that just wants to kill literally everything in sight.
Right, but it's the first time we've encountered something without offense.
Literally no offense.
That's what what really my issue comes down to. If they gave it a bow or a dagger or a thimble or a thumbtack or some shit like that, I'm there. I'm fine with it.
Right. Yeah.
But the fact that they've taken any offensive ability and just gotten rid of it, assuming that you as a DM, if you want to do it, know how to shrink down the damage on a short bow or what have you, like that's a little unfair to do that and then include it in a book of possible enemies.
Right. And I mean, you had a note there where it was like, they don't try to fight at all. They avoid it at all costs, but it doesn't mean they won't. Right? You said there was some evidence of them fighting to some degree, at the very least.
Previous editions, yeah.
Yeah.
But not in 5e. The last...
It's been removed from them.
Yeah, verbatim, the last paragraph in the monster manual is they are opposed to violence. Unlike their fey cousins, the sprites, pixies abhor weapons and would sooner flee than get into a physical altercation with an enemy. That's the end of the description.
And it doesn't account for the possibility of being cornered, essentially.
I mean, they'd just go invisible and fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. How possible is it to corner a pixie? Maybe impossible. I mean, I see. I get what you're saying. I'm
not saying they don't have a place in D&D. I'm saying they do not deserve a whole entry in the monster manual. And again, that's opinion and speculation.
If they were the only, though they are apparently the only creature has this glaring difference. And I think that is a problem. I don't think it makes them unworthy of a page, but perhaps there should be more creatures leaning into a non-violent perspective and play and, world building, maybe. But I'm kind of just spitballing here. It's not really necessarily how I feel.
I get your point. And I mean, I'm being aggressive and unfair about it, and I get that, and that's the stance I've decided to take. I understand why they're here. I do.
Yeah.
But I feel like they could have just thrown us a bone and given us, a short bow that does 1 damage or, 1 force damage or some shit like that. Like leaned into that Fey ancestry and given us just an attack. But what they've done here is they've taken 1 creature, which is a fairy, and split it into 2 creatures, the pixies and the sprites. And I'm assuming, we'll find out, spoilers next episode, that they're 2 sides of the same coin. And that sprites are aggressive as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler alert, I'm covering sprites next. And I think you're going to like sprites.
I think so too, yeah.
I don't want to say any more. Yeah.
But as I said, I put a lot of work into this of how I believe to fix it. But before we get into that, I've got to ask the obligatory question. Have you ever used them? I know the answer is no.
The answer is no, yeah.
I didn't plan to until I put this work in.
See, that's always a good result, huh?
It is, yeah, it is. And I am really happy with this creature thematically. So your best option, if you want to use pixies in your campaign, is a 2-step process. Step 1, throw out the pixie stat block. Step 2, buy the Monsters of Phelan by Kwood Publishing. We're gonna put a link in the description because the way they treat fairies is so much better than the way D&D treats pixies. Their seasonal fairies are so good. Big shout out to Andrew, and one of these days we're going to get him on the show.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the last time we properly talked about that book was with unicorns, because he had the cool variations of unicorns.
Yeah,
but I feel like I haven't looked at that book since. I don't know if we've covered a fey creature since.
I don't think so, but it's really good. And just use the seasonal fairy stat block because they're much better. They have attacks, they have effects, they have local effects, which are more reminiscent of pixies and culture, period. They have just really, really good lore and stat blocks around them, and there's 1 for each season, so they're great.
Cool. I like that seasonal thing. It's an Eladrin, elf kind of vibe right out the gate, and which fits Fey really nicely. I like that.
If you don't want to do that and you just want to homebrew these creatures, I've got a few options here for you. The first is you can use them as spies, like malicious, indignant, little vengeful creatures. They do not have to be these jovial little happy-go-lucky things. They can be like perfect infiltrators.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, I would use them for the Seelie Court, which brings me to what I want out of D&D or any role-playing adventure at all. I want a Fey court adventure. I want something where you go to the Feywild, where you encounter the Seelie courts, which are the two sides of the Fey, the summer court and the winter court. Andrew did a great job at fleshing those courts out, but we still don't have a Queen Titania. We don't have a Queen Mab, at least in 5th edition. And that's what I want. Is I really, really want this summer, this winter court duality, and a big politically focused adventure where you're being pitted against each other by these courts. Because one of the things about the Fae in lore is that if you accept any gifts, you owe them a favor. If you, like there's so much good, solid lore there.
That all verbal contract that's like very binding.
that are literally physically binding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want that political drama. I want to play that D&D or Pathfinder or whatever adventure. That's what I want. So I love that idea, and I love that that is a very high concept adventure that I just don't have the patience to write or run.
Right.
I also don't think it would be the kind of adventure my players want, but I want it. I love political intrigue.
Yeah.
A couple other quick options are if, maybe the Pixies along with the locale get contaminated when a hag moves in. And then they're kind of mind controlled as the hag, used as like a hag eye, or they give the players a condition I like to call pixie lead. That can only be removed with an Arcana check to realize they've got to turn their coats inside out in order to find the right way to the hag lair.
Oh, yeah, okay. Very nice. Very nice. I mean, that's a straight homebrew. I don't think that's something that Wizards would ever incorporate. It's so specific.
Think so either.
Yeah. They have to go with more universal like mechanics and themes, I think. But yeah, I really like that. That's really fun.
Yeah, but if a Nice hag moves in and your forest goes to shit, you've got these little pixies, playing tricks on the travelers, and maybe you throw up dancing lights and you try and lead them into like a pit trap with an ooze in it or some shit. Like these things could be tainted and misdirection because they're so heavily tied to their location that if a hag taints a location, why can't the hag taint the Fae?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of, I always love the idea of something being corrupted. It's like, sometimes it's delicate territory, thematically and maybe for, comfort levels of players to have things that, to be corrupted and changed from, what they are to something else through, and I mean, typically you're looking at it through very evil intent and sources.
I don't know how deep you have to go with it with contamination specifically, though.
Sure.
Like, I would play them like Venom in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah. We could be looking at something like when we talked about the Catoplopus, where, just being in the presence, and just being in the presence of that marsh, within a certain, number of miles or feet or what have you, caused, just even the flora to transform and turn to poison when they would normally be like, medicinal or something like that. So it doesn't have to be within this crazy intention or evil forcefulness, but rather just a result of, something else that's corruptive or what have you.
Right.
But I mean, a hag direction is such a great idea for that.
I really fell in love with that because of their connection to the Fae and like how they could just reach into the souls of these little bastards and use them to their own ends, like little puppets.
For sure, yeah. I mean, that's not a line that when crossed that gets to me, at all. So I love it. It's very macabre. It's very dark. But it is worth mentioning that it could be for some.
For sure, yeah. And then we get to my idea where I think their true place in the 5e canon should be, and that's as a druidic familiar.
Okay. Yeah.
I truly believe that's where these creatures should be living, is in specifically a druidic or nature cleric familiar domain.
Right. I won't pretend to know much about familiars, especially in 5e. I know that I think they tend to be summoned, so they are sort of pulled from another plane.
Pixies are one of the creatures you can get with summon.
Are they?
So with one of the summon spells, I can't remember which one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are they? Okay, sweet. Okay, well that line's straight up. Yeah. Yeah, then I'm all for it. I think that's really cool. I'm spitballing a bit here because I've done a bit of research, quite a bit of research recently on this in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, but I'm quite rusty on it for 5e. But when you're talking about a familiar versus an animal companion, and also possibly adding in the mount, they have different sort of functions and relatability. Not a word. But like a familiar, I think if I were to guess, they're either summoned and in servitude, or they they bond to you in a mutually beneficial relationship. So they are a willing participant. And it is a magical bond. Whereas you have an animal companion is something that it could be magically bonded to you, but it is, for all intents and purposes, your servant. And you train it, and it relies on your elevated intelligence. Well, you rely on its, instincts and abilities. And then a mount is like, closer to animal companion, but very, very potentially also farther into the familiar territory, where you have an intelligent mount that has a mutually beneficial relationship with you, such as riding a dragon into battle, so on and so forth.
I see what you're saying there. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I use the term druidic familiar, which is a non-existent term in 5th edition. It is a druidic animal companion. I still think it could be a wizard familiar or a druidic animal companion. I like the idea of the druid turning into like an eagle, and then its animal companion Pixie riding it with like a little saddle and stuff. That makes me real happy.
I'm all about that. Yeah.
I think the argument could be made for it. I would have to look at the druid rules again because it's been a long time. But I see what you're saying. I still don't truly believe that it deserves its own stat block, which is really what I was getting at with this point, is that it totally should be a mitigated stat block.
I mean, yeah, you've managed to squeeze it into, it should be in an appendix creature, and and the fact that it fits as a familiar almost emphasizes that. I know, not that all familiars have to be appendix creatures, but it kind of really supports it.
Yeah, I think when we do Pseudo Dragon, we should talk about it again, because Pseudo Dragon is also a full page, and I'd be really interested to see how they compare stack to stack. Mm-hmm. But I have one more idea here for how you can use pixies in your game without actually using them as creatures.
Cool.
You could use them as a guardian or an exposition dump or an alarm. So these creatures could guard something, essentially, or be the gatekeepers of something. Because of their playful nature, like the idea of them being like budget sphinxes.
Right.
So it's like protecting a specific area in the forest, and the players encounter it, and it's like, oh, I'll tell you some shit, but you got to solve my stupid riddle. Like,
and you got to do it while I'm tying your shoelaces.
Yeah, like, when is a door not a door? Like dumb fucking riddles like that.
Right. Yeah.
The answer is when it's a jar. But like maybe that's how you learn there's a banshee in the area, or there's a screaming woman in the area, or something like that. I like that idea of them like playing with the PCs, and to that degree, not like,
I mean, they're just 100% a supporting cast or a vehicle to something greater. And they can't be otherwise.
I mean, they've literally been written that they cannot be otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, it's arguably unfair to say they can't be. I'm sure someone out there has some way to do it, even if we disagree.
Yeah, his name's Andrew
for them
Kaywood.
It would work. There you go. No, totally. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I like that. Kind of fitting them into a role that works with another creature. There's lots of creatures that share, sort of thematic roles, So why not plug this one into one of those?
Yeah, or you've got like a swarm of pixies. I want to see that fucking stat block.
Yeah. A swarm. That would be that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, well, so one of the series of books that I've read that I've touched on before is called the Dresden Files, and they have a fairy character called Toot Toot that Harry has to summon, who he dresses up in like shitty little armor who leads his personal like guard of fey creatures. And one of the things that he does with them is he turns them into essentially, he gives them like thumbtacks and stuff like that, and turns them into a swarm of stinging fairies essentially.
Right.
So they have these little tiny fairy swords, and they just turn into like really shitty wasps.
That's so good. You can even have like a whole, like an extraordinarily large amount of them, but they're all invisible, and they just like pin you down like Gulliver's Travels, so you think you're paralyzed.
Right.
But you don't know. You're actually just like, there's actually just hundreds of these things like holding you in place.
Yeah, like a sentient swarm of bees from a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
What about you? You got any ideas how to make these usable?
I don't. Mostly I've been sitting on biting my tongue on sprites.
Okay.
There are more reflections in this whole thing that you've prepared than you think. And I hope I can remember each one as I get to them. But
I truly believe sprites are going to be the two-faced to...
Yeah, they're not some polar opposite. I'm just going to dispel that right now. They're not.
Okay.
They are the far more interesting counterpart. And they're not like massively deeper or anything either. They are pretty simple creatures. They're a one pager, okay. But they have a little more oomph to them, a little more fascination, I think.
Okay, with that, we're gonna pull the chute on this episode and get out of here, so Freeman doesn't spoil our next episode, Sprites, which will drop in about a fortnight. So if you
gonna be this is a week. This is a week after this one.
Oh my God, it'll drop in 7 days, listeners. You're into another suite. It's only
Feypril.
been 3 months. But if you've got any stories on how to make a pixie usable or why I'm wrong, I would love to be proven wrong, because I want these to be viable creatures, and I just, as it is, I don't see it. So if you want to prove me wrong, if you've got ideas how to make these stat blocks usable, if you got experience with Monsters of Phelan or anything by Kwood Publishing, we want to hear from you. Anything and everything. Shoot us an email at info@encounterthis.ca. You can hit us up on Twitter @EncounterPod, Facebook @EncounterPod, Instagram.com/encounter.pod, where we will certainly be using that 5e art and that 3e art because it's confusing as fuck. The 2e art I'm a little on the fence about because it is creepy.
It really is.
But if you like this and you want to help us keep doing this, it is solely because of our Patreons that we can keep this show going. They keep the lights on, and they're wonderful. We love you guys. For $5 a month, it'll get you a handwritten letter and access to our show notes, so you can follow along with all the words I mispronounce. For $10 a month, you can suggest a creature. Maybe you want to see us cover Toot Toot from the Dresden Files. We can do that. There's a Dresden Files RPG. I'm fucking down for it. That'll cost you $10 a month, but we'll do it. Yeah, I mean, thank you for getting through that, and thank you, Freeman, for coming on this wonderful PCP-ridden journey with me.
Let's just treat this episode as a precursor for the rest of Feypril. It was necessary.
Literally can only go up from here.
I love it.
But rate and review this on your platform of choice. It really helps us out with placement and helps us get new listeners, believe it or not. A lot of people find it due to searching like the App Store or the Google Play Store, and rating and reviewing really helps new people find us, because there is a Christian podcast called Encounter that's about people's spiritual encounters, and that's fine, but we need to unseat them, because as we've already talked about once today, our mythology predates their mythology.
It does. Pixies are before them, so we deserve more credit. Totes.
Tell them we want their Twitter handle. All right, thank you, creatures, and we'll get at you in fucking 7 days for sprites. I'll try and be more sprightly for it.
We did this to ourselves.